All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Alf's party. So let's kind of explain what's going to happen. Alf wants to have kind of like a party. And what we're going to do is he came up with about a dozen questions. I think we have to ask 10 of them, right, Alf? I'm just going to ask 10 of these questions, and the first person to get the correct answer wins a prize. The prize you're going to get from Alf. So the prize is going to be a book, one of my books, one of the Bhagavatam translations. So he's going to send it to you, right? So that means that you will have to contact him. So we have an email now that I'm going to type into the chat. It's called "Don't Thank Me, Thank Hari." Actually, Alf, can you type it into the chat so I can keep talking? Don't thank me, thank Hari @gmail. So what you do is you send an email to that email and you say, "Hi, remember me? I'm so and so. I answered such and such a question correct." He's already going to have a list of your names and which ones your YouTube names and which questions you got right. And then he's going to tell you more about how you get your book. But the only thing is, it's a real book. So he's going to have to really send it to you. So that means you're going to have to give him an address that you could actually pick up the book from. So if there's something you're not comfortable with, then don't answer the questions. Just listen to the answers. If there's something that you want to do, then let's party. All right? Any questions about that? Did I miss anything else? So we got Alf's party. Alf's gonna give away prizes at the Bhagavatam. I think it's either the first canto, second canto, third canto, or the two that we have up on the screen right now. The two parts of the fourth canto that I've put out so far. There's the email. So let's do it. Let's see, who can answer this first question? Now think carefully. Think carefully about the answer, because there's going to be three kind of related questions here, and these are fairly easy questions, so be ready to be fast. All right, you ready? Who is the author of the Bhagavatam? The author. Let's see what the answers are. Who is the author of the Bhagavatam? Melissa Meter. See, so four people have already got it right. But the fastest person with the button, you remember those old game shows where you have to press the button and then answer your question? The fastest person with the button was Melissa. Now, Oracle of Altoona says, "I thought the Vedas were unauthored." Well, they can't be unauthored because they exist, isn't it? So, unauthored is a bad translation of the concept of apurusha. The Vedas, the origin of the Vedas is apurusha, which means unconventional or non-human, superhuman. The Vedas actually are Vishnu's, ultimately the ultimate origin. If somebody gave this answer, we would be really stuck. If they said the ultimate author of the Bhagavatam is Vishnu, then we'd be stuck, because that's not a wrong answer. Because the Vedas are Vishnu's revelation to Brahma. Vishnu's download of information to Brahma. And then Brahma, also if they said Brahma was the author of the Bhagavatam, we would have been a little bit stuck. Might have had to give him a prize. Because then Brahma put it into words. So if they said Vak was the author, that also would have been correct. Because Vak created the language. Or then the Saptarishis, they edit the stuff and put it into memorizable patterns. They edit the words and they put it into mantras. So if we said the Rishis were the authors of the Vedas, or of the Bhagavatam, we also would have been correct. But they're the author of the whole Veda. What Vyas did, and the reason why Vyas is the best answer for this question, is Vyas comes just before the beginning of Kali Yuga, because the Vedas are going to need to be edited so that the complete message is clear even for a reader from Kali Yuga. So he starts editing the Veda that was codified by the children of Brahma. And he edits it into 5 sections. And he puts each section into the care of 5 sages. Yeah, he puts each section into the care of 1 sage. And then those sages expand upon it. So they create these ancillary texts called Upanishads, Brahmanas, and Aranyakas. And then in the fifth division was the Puranas. And they don't create separate books, but they elaborate on their own texts, so the Puranas become bigger, bigger, bigger. Then Vyas, after several generations of that, says that this has become too big. This body of text has become too big. Nobody in Kali Yuga could study all of this. And it's also too confusing. There's too many different schools of thought that have developed. So he himself wrote a book. He personally wrote a book from scratch called the Vedanta Sutra, or the Brahma Sutra, which means this is the essence of the Veda, the Sutra. This is the theme of the Vedas, in short, pulled all together into one small book. So that's one of Vyas's original compositions. But then after writing that, he realized that only a philosopher would be able to understand it accurately, effectively, or deeply. So he thought, I have to write something that conveys this information to everyday people, because that's the Kali Yuga that I'm writing. That's the audience that I'm writing for. So he then wrote the Mahabharata. Mahabharata is Vyasa's second original composition. It was his effort to put the concepts of the Vedanta Sutra into story form. And the key point of the Mahabharata is the Bhagavad Gita. It's really the Bhagavad Gita which succinctly expresses in a much more comprehensible and clear manner the whole Vedanta Sutra. So also Vedanta Sutra is Bhagavad Gita was authored by Vyasa. Then he still feels a little bit like he's unfinished. And Narada Muni explains to him that the Mahabharata is too distracting. You covered too many side points with as much focus as you covered the main point. And then in Bhagavad Gita is over in 1 chapter, and it's done. It's like 100 verses. I say 800 verses, compared to, I think, 18,000. It was too fast. You didn't give enough detail. That's all. Just give more detail on what you already did. So then he did a quasi original composition. He took a Purana called the Bhagavatam, which was already the Purana that is really the most dedicated to, that is most similar to Bhagavad Gita. And he expanded upon it greatly and made it very engaging and poetic and so forth. And that is the Bhagavatam. So that's why we would say that Vyasa is the author of the Bhagavatam. Even though he's certainly not the originator of it. Okay? Hey, Waylon. So we're having a... Oh, so Alf. So Melissa says she's already got all my books. So what we're doing right now is we have an Alf party. And Alf is having a party, which means that he's giving away books. So he has questions here, and whoever gets the question right gets a book from Alf. If they send their contact to don'tthankmethaakhari@gmail.com. Alf, what do you think we should do now when a person who wins the prize already has all the books? Should we take the second place person, or should we just go to another question? What do you think, Alf? No, Melissa says the number 2. What do you think, Alf? It's up to you. Second place. So who was the second place? Was that Ezio? No. That was Om Bishach. Om Bishach edged out Angelique and Samurai Mama by a millisecond. So Om, you want to claim your prize? Bardo asked if the Bhagavatam will ever be edited again. No, but it's translated. So Om, you know what you have to do, right? You have any questions? You just send an email to don'tthankmethaakhari@gmail.com. Then Alf will get in contact with you. No, it's not Johnny. Right, it's Om. So when you do send him an email, make sure you tell him your YouTube name, because we might not know what your regular name is. All right, ready for the second question? Second question is related to this. So the first question is, who's the author of the Bhagavatam? The answer is Vyasa. Get ready, get your hands on the button. Get ready to smack the button on this game show of What's the Bhagavatam? The question is, who... Sorry, I got distracted. The question is, who is the narrator of the Bhagavatam? Or who is the primary, make sure you get this, who is the primary, the first narrator of the Bhagavatam? Dun, dun. This one's taking longer to get an answer for. Nobody knows. Okay, stop. Melissa says Narmada Muni. I guess. Okay, stop. It's not Narada Muni. I think it was supposed to, that was a typo. It's not Narada Muni. Narada Muni was the guru. Played the role of Vyasa's guru in telling Vyasa what to write, giving him the summary of the book. Narada is that person, but he's not the narrator, primary narrator. Then Sebastian says Vyasa. No, we already said Vyasa is the author, but he didn't actually teach it. Well, he didn't narrate it to anybody. Narrate means speak it in public, right? Tell the story to a crowd. Vyasa just taught it to Shuka. Private. Shuka is his son. So then look at this. It's Samurai Mama. Samurai Mama is the first one who says Shuka. And that's the wrong answer. That's the wrong answer. No, that's the correct answer. It's so complicated. Shuka is the correct answer. Vyasa's son Shukadev. So Samurai Mama, you win. Vyasa's son Shukadev learned the Bhagavatam personally from his father Vyas, and then had the opportunity to give it a narration to the emperor. And I won't really give you more information than that because other questions will be about these things probably. Let's see some of the other answers. So Samurai, you just need to send an email to Mr. Alf at don't thank me, thank Hari. Don't thank me, thank Hari at gmail.com. Diksha suggests maybe it's Maitreya. So what's that? Because we know she's right. Maitreya is narrating the story to Vidura, right? But he's not a primary narrator of the Bhagavatam. Maitreya was telling something to Vidura. It was answering Vidura's questions. But actually, Shuka was telling the story of Maitreya answering Vidura's questions. So Maitreya is a narrator in the Bhagavatam, but is not the narrator of the Bhagavatam. Sanjay is the narrator of the Bhagavad Gita. Again, you got it right. Again, you got second place. You're like the vice president every time. Om Bisach Shukdev. Sage Shuka, I cheated. Jiva, no. Johnny's really on a different level there. Shukdev Yellow, you got third place. Brahma is not a narrator. Brahma is like this. Art. If you go to the ultimate version of the Bhagavatam, it could be Brahma. But the more direct answer is Shuka. Angelique, you also got it right. All right, so. The answer is not Shuka. The answer is Shuka. You got that wrong in your answers, Alf. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's so complicated. I will say that Shuka is the narrator. Let's get that. Let's have that right. And we'll have Samurai Mama get that right. Nobody got the alternative answer wrong anyway. So, nobody got the alternative answer right. The problem with this is there are two primary narrators to the Bhagavatam. Who's the first one? The first one, that's the question that I just thought I was asking. The first narrator is Shuka. The author, the person who wrote the Bhagavatam out, is Vyasadeva. He taught it to Shuka. Shuka then explained it to a certain person. Then somebody heard Shuka narrate it and then narrated it again to somebody else. So this is our third question. You ready? Hands on the answer button. The answer button is... Ready? Here comes the question. Who is the second narrator of the Bhagavatam? So the Bhagavatam that you're reading now is actually narrated by this person. Who's the second narrator of the Bhagavatam? Do you know what I mean? Vyas taught somebody who then spoke it, narrated it, and then somebody who heard that narration then narrated it to somebody else. Let's see. Angelique, I think you... Angelique, you win. Angelique says Sutta. Flatlander also said Sutta. So you guys got that one right. Angelique, Sutta. It's not Vyas. We keep saying Vyas is the guy who wrote it. Varuna Kapila. Wayland says it's me. They censored the word Parikshit because it has that word in it. Maitreya. Nope, so it's Sutta. Sutta, which means half-caste, or mutt. The mutt, Sutta, very important. That the half-caste is the narrator of the Bhagavatam. It means it's not caste-specific or only for certain social roles or something like that, or only for certain classes. So the winner of the third question was Angelique. Good, very good. So you get it now? Hopefully you have a review now. Vyas, listen carefully, because you guys that keeps answering Vyas for every question, I don't know what you're thinking about. Maybe you're just popping into the live stream now. Vyas wrote it. His son Shuka explained it, narrated it on someplace. Maybe some questions will be about that, so I won't give the answer. And then Sutta heard it from Shuka and narrated it again. This is what I mean. Remember when I said that that the Puranas have this nature of proliferating? The Puranas have like a core, which actually comes from the original verbiage created by Brahma. They have a core, but then that core gets explained to people again and again. And instead of becoming different books like it does in the Vedas, it gets wrapped into the same book. And it's the same tale. Here's the core of the book, and this was explained to so-and-so, and then so-and-so explained it to so-and-so, and this is the long explanation, and finally you get this super long explanation. Okay, now the fourth question. Who is the main person, or if you want, you can also say the group of people, that Sutta was explaining or narrating the Bhagavatam to? Ready? Answer quickly. Who is the person? This one's kind of tough. Maybe, somebody's got to be able to get this one. Who is the main person who Sutta narrated Bhagavatam to? Who asked Sutta to narrate the Bhagavatam? Oh my God, you guys got it. But Samurai, you have to stop answering. Because you already answered. Because you already won, right? You won the second prize. Flatlander says Sonika. So I think Flatlander is the winner. Wow, that is such a cute emoji, Angelique. So Flatlander wins. It's Shonika. There's no 5 Kumars, there's 4 of them. Sages in the forest. That's actually a very good answer. Fervus. Because that is Shonika was the head or the leader of the sages in the forest. Sages, I can't remember names. And the forest is Aranyaka. Naimisharanya. Okay, so we got now 5 books left, I believe. Or 6 maybe. So Shonaka, why is Shonaka significant? Because Shonaka is very old. So Shonaka is a very typical sage. The stereotypical concept of a sage, an old man with a beard in a forest. And the reason why that's important is because Sutta is very young. And so is Shuka. Shuka was maybe 15 or 16 when he narrated the Bhagavatam. Sutta is also very young. I'm not sure of his exact age. But much younger than Shaunika. So this is also showing that it doesn't matter if you're older or younger. The younger person is teaching the older person in the Bhagavatam. So the Bhagavatam isn't reliant on any conventional methods like, oh, your intelligent class or your administrator class or your whatever. It doesn't matter. Everybody can digest the Bhagavatam. Oh, you're older, you're younger, it doesn't matter. Okay, so we're doing 10 questions because we got 10 books. So now we're up to the 5th question. So far we said, who is the author of the Bhagavatam? It's Vyasa. Who is the narrator? It's Sutta. Who taught Sutta? Actually, the way that we did it, sorry, but I kind of changed the way Alf had it. Who's the author? It's Vyasa. Who's the narrator? It's Shuka. Who's the second narrator? It's Sutta. Who did Sutta teach? Shaunika and the sages in the forest of Naimisharanya. Now, how about Shuka? Shaunika is the one who requested Sutta to narrate the Bhagavatam. Who's the one who requested Shuka? Did I get that right? Who's the one who requested Shuka to narrate? Shaunika requested Sutta. Who requested Shuka? So this is the previous. We need a name. This is the previous. I think that we got a winner. I think we got a winner in Fervis. This is Fervis's first time for winning, right? Even though he or she gave a good answer before. Parikshit. Yeah, you have to kind of give alternative spellings. See, Miss Vinay's got censored. That is correct. Who is Parikshit? He is the grandson of Arjuna. Pandava Arjuna. So it's a bit after the Bhagavad Gita Mahabharata war. Parikshit is cursed to die in 7 days, and therefore he goes to the bank of the Ganges River to fast and meditate. Shuka comes to him there, and he takes the opportunity to ask Shuka questions, and a huge crowd of sages gathers. This Parikshit is the emperor. And then the questions and answers between Parikshit and Shuka is the narration of the Bhagavatam. Shuka says, I will answer all your questions by narrating very similar questions and answers that my father taught me in the Bhagavatam. Oh, sorry, Will. All right. So that's 5. So what you need to do if you're a winner is send an email to don't thank me, thank Hari. Every once in a while you could type in that email, Alf. Don't thank me, thank Hari @gmail.com, and then Alf will take care of it from there. So if you don't feel like you're going to send an email to that, or if you don't feel like you want to get a book shipped to an address because you have to give somebody an address, then let us know so we can give the price to somebody else. Now the 6th question. So Sutta taught Shaunika. Shuka taught Parikshit, the emperor. Now here's a different. Finally, we'll get off this theme. There's another question, but I just gave you the answer, so I think I'm going to skip this question. This is not a question for a prize. It's just where did Shuka teach Parikshit on the bank of the Ganges? I just said that, so we're not going to ask that. Here's the next real question. You ready? Hands on the button. Who is the sage of the gods? Who is called Devarshi? the sage of the gods. Yes, Angelique. So here, Diksha got this one. So Diksha, congratulations. Ah, but this is such an interesting. Nikita thinks it's Brihaspati. Murray also. So what's the difference between a sage? What's the difference between Narada and Brihaspati? And what is the difference between a sage and a priest? Brihaspati is the god's priest. Narada is the god's sage. Devarshi Brihaspati, I don't think you ever hear it. Devaguru, he's their priest or their mentor. But the sage for the gods is Narada. So that's Diksha. Diksha, if you to claim your prize, you know what to do. Narada is not Vishnu. Narada is Narada. Now, the next question. So that was what? Let's count the numbers. 1, who is the author of the Bhagavatam? 2, who is the narrator? 3, who taught? Who's the second narrator? 4, who did Sutta teach? 5, who did Shuka teach? 6, who's the sage of the gods? 7, ready? Hands on the button. You sure you're ready? Take a deep breath. What topic are we going to ask about next? These are all Alf's questions, by the way. So the 7th question for the 7th book. Who is the most famous daughter of Manu and Shatarupa? Who is the most famous daughter of Manu and Shatarupa? Tick tock, tick tock, tick. If I was good, I would have had like game show music playing in the background. Why are you not going to win, Marie? You can totally get this. Am I a Virgo? Venus and Ketu in Virgo. Kat Devi says Sati. Wrong. Sati is the most famous daughter of Daksha and Prasuti. Diksha says Prasuti. Prasuti is not the most famous daughter. You know why? Because Prasuti didn't have a very important... Prasuti did have a very important child, of course, Sati. But Prasuti did not call forth Vishnu from her womb. So there's one of the children is Devhuti, the caller of God, the bringer of God. And that is Devhuti, Sudeep. Sudeep, that's the first one time you answered, right? And then Artfiend got it shortly after Sudeep. Vak is not it. Vak is daughter of Brahma. Okay, so Alf, note that, okay? Sudeep Rouser has won the 7th book, the lucky book. 7th book. Who is the most famous daughter of Manu and Shatarup? That's got to be Devhuti. Prasuti, of course, is another famous daughter. No, why do you think Yellow Crystal Warrior got it? Yellow Crystal Warrior, you're right. I'm sorry. Very good. Yellow Crystal Warrior answered before Sudeep. Sorry, Sudeep. And that's question 7, Alf. Right? Let's review this. Author of the Bhagavatam, I believe. Who won that one? Was that? That's Vyas. I forget who won it. Primary narrator of the Bhagavatam. That's Shuka. I forgot who won that. Hopefully you know. Third question is secondary narrator. That's Sutta. Fourth question is, who did Sutta teach? That was Shonaka, the old man in the forest, and his friends. The fifth question is, who did Shuka teach? That's the Emperor Parikshit. The sixth question is, who is the sage of the gods? Narada. The seventh question is, who's the most famous daughter of Manu and Shatarupa? And that's Devahuti. Now, the seventh question. The eighth question. Who did Devahuti... Are you ready? Hands on the button. This is Alf's question. Who did Devahuti marry? No. Yes. Now Nikita. This is Nikita's first time, right? See, we tricked Art Fiend. I purposely tricked you into thinking, well, it's Alf. The answer must be Kapila. Kat, you're so scandalous. How can you say that she would marry the four Kumars? First of all, the four Kumars are prepubescent. And second of all, there's four of them, which is not unprecedented. But, no. She won Kardama. She married Kardama. So who wins this? Nikita. And then Samurai Mama, she's answering also. Miss Vinay. Anasuya is a girl. Artfi. Alright, so Devahuti married Kapila. Devahuti married Kardama. Yes, that's right, Bardo. So Kardama was really opulent. Even though he was a sage living in the forest, he manifested an incredible palace, and they had an incredible, let's say, honeymoon. Well, she couldn't marry Kapila because Kapila didn't exist when she was marrying. All right, now we would come to the ninth question. Now everybody is going to get this answer, I do believe. So, if you give the answer with the correct Sanskrit exclamation, there's a particular word in Sanskrit which is very often used as an exclamation. Often it can be repeated twice for double exclamation points. If you give the answer with the correct Sanskrit exclamation, you will win the prize even if you are not the first. But if you are one or two answers after the first. So the question is, what's the name of Devahuti and Kardama's son? Oh. So exclamation is a word that doesn't have meaning. It's just a sound. Merk is a meaningful word. It means fool. So far, nobody's got the exclamation. Oh, Melissa, you won. Didn't you win the first one? Okay, good. So that solves our problem because it was right on the edge. Bo. Correct diacritical spelling is Bho. Bobo Copula. No, but it's not Melissa because I think she already won. And it was a bit late. Did Melissa already win? So, Alf, you decide the winner. Bobo, I forgot. It's Copula. The first person to answer Copula was Davana. And Melissa was the first person to say Bo, Copula. And you know, if you know Alf, then really, you should know this is his favorite thing ever to do. So it has to go to the first person to win, to get the one Copula, which is Davana. Davana Cimino. Or Cimino. So, Davana, again, you just claim your prize by sending an email to don't thank me, thank Huddy @gmail.com. And then Alf will get in touch with you. Devana. Yes, it's you. Okay, great. So now we're on number 9, isn't that right? Yeah, this is question. Let's double check. First question, who's the author of the Bhagavatam? Vyas. Second question, who's the primary narrator? Shuka. Second question is the second narrator? Sutta. Who did Sutta teach? Was the fourth question. The answer was Shonaka and the old sages. Fifth question, who did Shuka teach? That's the emperor Parikshit. Then the sixth question, who's the sage of the gods? Narada. Who's the most famous daughter of Manu and Satyarupa? Devahuti. Who did Devahuti marry? Kardama. That's 8. Who is their son? Bo Kapila. Now, this is the last question. I think I am going to pick this one that Alf wrote. Who has dedicated focus so strong he can take your breath away? Who has dedicated focus so strong he can take your breath away? Marie. Very good. So first Azio says Vayu. No, Vayu's not known for having dedicated focus. He does have to do with your breath. Art Fiend says Prithu. No, Prithu's got dedicated focus, but it never really did anything to anybody's breath. Marie Ferris. This is your first win, right, Marie? Marie Ferris is the first one to answer this question correctly, even though it's spelled a bit wrong. Dhruva. Look at the way Samurai spelled it. That's the correct spelling. Or Anil. Dhruva, his very name means dedicated focus. And his practice of yoga was so dedicated and strong that his pranayam affected the prana of the whole universe, so that when he was holding his breath, people had a very difficult time breathing. And so that is the correct answer, Dhruva. And quite a few people answered correctly, but Murray was the first one to get it. All right, now I'm going to give you one more question because I think this is a cool question. This is not for a book, but just look at this question. This is Alf. Yeah, you have to be fast. So that's the end of the contest, prize party thing. All you winners, make sure you send your email to don'tthankmethankhuddy@gmail.com. And Alf, who's the sponsor of this whole party, is going to get your shipping address and figure out what book you get and get the book sent to you. I have one more question. I want to share this other question that Alf wrote for you. He says, besides the conventional... Oh, actually, I think I edited this slightly. I added this little bit at the beginning. Besides the conventional aspects of self-realization. In other words, Kapila and Narada. His question's about Kapila and Narada. He wants to compare them. And he says, he's going to say, what do they have in common? And so, of course, they both have in common that they both understand the Vedas, they both are bhaktas, blah, 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 blah. What's something unusual or that you were unexpected, besides the conventional things, that Kapila and Narada both have in common, or that's very important to their story? What is very important to the story of Kapila and also very important to the story of Narada? What do you think? Type it in. Only child. Kapila is not the only child. He's the 10th child. Remembering past lives, close. You're getting closer. Think about Narada's past life. Kapila's past life, he doesn't remember. It's not a big deal. Angelique. They took care of their mothers. Angelique, that is the... Low-class parents isn't correct. I mean, Kapila's mother is a princess, and his father is a great sage. Narada's mother was a maidservant. But that's not in common. Yep. No father. Narada has no father. Kapila has a father. Kapila's father took sannyas, went to the forest for renunciation after he grew up. So yeah, the answer is the thing that's in common about both Kapila and Narada, in Alf's words, is love for their mother. Narada had great love for his mother, therefore he wouldn't leave her. Even though he wanted to go with the Bhakti Vedantas, he wanted to go with them, but he didn't leave his mother. After she died, he went to the forest. Kapila, great love for his mother, that he enlightened her and spoke with her. So that's a very good question. Yeah, that is the greatest emoji, Angelique. How do you do that? All right, guys. So, congratulations to all the participants. Congratulations to all the winners. Thanks, big super thanks to Alf. Alf, you want to give a summary of who the winners are? Thank you very much, Alf, for doing this fun thing for us. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. So Okay, Al, I'm gonna sign off now. That'll be the end of the thing. Did you want to? You don't need to type in the top 10 as long as you know. If not, you can review the live chat log or whatever it is. Great. So I will see you. Oh, there you go. Alf says Om Bisach, Samurai Mama, Angelique Damon, Flatlander Montgomery, Fervus Equus, Diksharam Krishna, Yellow Crystal Warrior. Okay, yeah, that was right. Nikita Devana and Marie. Yes, Marie, you win. I knew you would win. Don't thank me, thank Hadi. Seriously. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you next week. So next Tuesday we'll be continuing the houses according to Montreshwar and Paladipika. We'll go house 4 or 5, probably 6. And then next Thursday for Bhagavatam, it's what happens after Prithu. So it's a segue from Prithu's story into the next story. So it's a bit of, again, a genealogy, because it'll follow down to from Prithu a few generations to the next person that has an important story. Flatlander, if you have a question about what the email looks like, scroll up a bit. We've typed it in a few times there. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to end this. I don't even do a live reading, bro.